Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Language Arts Gallery. Today, we're going to talk about generative AI and communicative language teaching and how one application in particular, Brisk Teaching, can help to make our workload a lot lighter as language teachers. So, I am going to first show you how to install Brisk as a Google Chrome extension, and then we're going to work through some of its applications. So the first thing we need to do is we need to install it. So if I go to the Google Chrome Web Store and I go to Brisk Teaching AI Assistant for Teachers, all I have to do is click Add to Chrome. So I want to click that button right there. So I'll click that. It's going to ask me if I want to add the extension. I say yes. Okay. And I'm agreeing to their terms of service. I'm signing up with Google. And I'll say yes. Okay, and now I've got Brisk Teaching here. I'm on app.briskteaching.com. But if I go to a blank page here, let's say I open just a doc. Okay, and I go to Brisk Teaching. I am going to see this now down here in the corner. Okay. This little B, that little black and white B, that is the extension of Brisk Teaching, and that's going to be there on all the websites that we access. So we can use Brisk for a variety of things, and we're going to look at all those different applications. And we're going to start with creating a podcast and then a dialogue. So what I want to do is I want to begin by taking the vocabulary. All right, so I'm going to take my vocabulary from this sample unit that I'm working with. So this is just a unit on free time activities and adverbs of frequency, and it's for students at the A2 level of English. So I'm going to take the key vocabulary from this unit and I'm going to paste it in to a Google Doc, which I've done right here. Okay, so this has got my grammar points and my lesson objectives, my unit objectives, I should say. So I open up my Google Doc, I add my vocabulary. Now I need to find Brisk and I need to create a presentation or a podcast in this case. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click that B. And now it says these are all the different things I can do. I can create, I can get feedback, I can change level, I can inspect writing, or I can boost. So I'm going to go to create. Okay, and I said I wanted to create a podcast. They've got presentation, quiz, podcast. So I'm going to click on podcast and next. So now it says podcast in English. Here, I've got the output format. It's going to be audio because it's a podcast. I've got standards. If you're using the free version, you can't align it to standards. If you have a premium version, you can. You've got the length of the podcast. So if you're on the free version, you're limited to 1 to 2 minutes. I usually find 1 to 2 minutes is sufficient for listening in language classes, especially if we're trying to promote a communicative language teaching approach. We really want to use these receptive practices just really to support student learning. And then we're going to choose the grade level, right? So I've chosen sixth grade, that's fine. And now I'm going to add a prompt. So I said, use the vocabulary listed here for students at the A2 level of English and should have the following grammar. And I've got all my grammar points there. And then I've got frequency adverbs and I've got examples, right? Just like we're using ChatGPT, AI loves a good example, a good model. Now, where it says brisket here, click brisket. And right before my eyes, it is creating a podcast for me. Okay, what do you like? Now I've got my transcript popping up here. This is Maria and Jamal. Okay, and there we go. It's complete. So now I can play back the audio.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. I'm Maria, and today we're talking about activities we like and dislike.
Now, I look right away and I see we've got an error here, right? In
Hello,
the
I'm Jamal. Maria, what do you like to do in your free time?
so I want to edit this. So I'm gonna say we like and dislike. Okay. So here we go. I can edit that. Now I can say, or I can say we talk about activities we love and hate. I can edit the content of that right there. Now, if this is too fast for my students need a bit more support, I can
Well, I really like playing football. I usually play football on weekends with.
I can control that speed right there. I can slow it down to zero point 0.8. 0.5 is a little slow. And similarly, I think anything above 1.0 is a little too fast, but I usually try to stay in here. If students need it a little bit slower, I'll go to zero point 0.8. But similarly, if I've got students who are really good listeners and they don't need the multimodal support here, what I can do is just hide the transcript. And now they've got to listen to it without the transcript. I can click this link here, and now I can share this link with my students. So if I go to another website or another browser here, I've shared this with my students, and look, there's no transcript here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to show the transcript. So now I can click that. I can go back to a different browser, share it, and now it's got the transcript. So that's a great support for language teachers if you want to give some students a little bit more support and make other students work a little bit more independently there without those supports. That's a really, really great tool. We can also download this. We've got that download button. We can download it and share the audio file with our students. Okay, so I think that's a really terrific application of this. All right, and we can see all those different things that we can do as I just highlighted. So this is a great tool in communicative language classrooms when we think about the teacher being at the front of the classroom. We want to try to limit teacher talk time, but we do often need to engage in consciousness raising activities, consciousness raising tasks. We want to raise student awareness to certain grammatical rules or vocabulary. And we can do this with this podcast tool, and we can build in those supports. So I want to move forward here. Now, if we presented this podcast, say that's the your opener for a unit on daily routines, we still may have students who need some brief direct instruction. Now, you can use this also in a flipped model. You can upload that, either share that link or you can upload the audio file to an LMS that students can work with, and they can do that before they come to class. So they're more prepared to engage in a more productive capacity with the language. So if we need to provide some brief direct instruction to our students based on this, we can do that. So I'm going to go to Brisk. Okay, I'm going to go to that little B and I'm going to click Create. And I'm going to choose Presentation. Now I go to Next. I've got Presentation English and I can look here. It says Select Output Format. I've got PowerPoint or Google Slides. I'm going to keep it in Google Slides. I'm at sixth grade. I want 10 slides. I could even do less. Maybe I could do, let's do eight. I think 10's a lot. So let's do eight. Now, with or without images. If you're on a free version, it's without images. I'll give you a little bit of a hack here. I have had teachers that I've done trainings with who've told me, I just said in the prompt that I wanted images, and I'm on the free version, and they gave me images. So if that works for you, terrific. If not, that's okay. So you can just go in and say, create a presentation about this podcast using the grammar and vocabulary highlighted in the podcast. I want to make sure that we give direct instruction on the simple present tense, questions with the verb to do, and adverbs of frequency. Okay, so I just go ahead and click next. And now I have to choose my presentation style. I can choose no formatting, light, dark, brisk, snowy. I like snowy. Uh, I like chalkboard, so I'm gonna I like aqua actually. I'm gonna take, oh no, aqua's not free. So I'm gonna take chalkboard. If it's got a star, it's not free. So I'm gonna click brisket and let's see. Let's watch the AI go to work. Activities we love, learning about the simple present tense. Wow, just like that. Okay, and we've got an opening circle. This is probably not something I wouldn't do it as a circle. I might start by listing things like what do you like to do in your free time? Okay, and there it's giving me 9 slides. A title page and or a title slide and 8 slides. Now it asked me to rate the response. Did I like it? Okay, do I want more slides? Do I want a vocabulary list? Do I want a quiz based on this? Do I want a lesson, a resource, or a translation? So it's important, remember to review thoroughly the output from the AI and make sure you're adapting it. So, you know what? Let's say I've got students who need L1 support. So I'm going to say in Spanish, lets me choose Spanish from Latin America or from Spain. So I pick Spanish and it's translating. So now I've got all of this in Spanish and English. Another great hack is you can ask it to create a presentation. Let's go do the same thing. And I'm going to say, create a presentation based on the grammar and vocab in this podcast. I would like a Spanish translation. So here I've got all the grammar, but I said like a Spanish translation alongside the English. And I got 8 slides. I click next, brisket, and I've got my activities that we love and hate, likes, dislikes, and daily habits. And there we go. I've got the English and the Spanish. Now it's in the same PPT. So again, you can go back and you can edit this, you can adjust it, you can do whatever you'd like with this to make sure that you're getting the output that you need for your students. So I think that's a really cool tool. So right there, I've got the steps we go over. Okay. So we talked about our O1 supports. Now let's say I want to create a quiz based on this. So I'm going to go back to my presentation here, and I'm going to go back to my output in English. I'm going to say I want a quiz. Okay. So create a quiz about this presentation, focusing on the simple present tense and adverbs of frequency. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna say 6th grade. I want multiple choice, 10 questions. Now I get to choose my output here, Google Docs, Google Form, or Microsoft Word. So I actually want Google Form. And the reason I want Google Forms is because now it's going to be self-grading. So I can just share the link to that Google Form with my students. I can have them, I can put it in the LMS, however I choose to send it to them via email or messaging, and I just click brisket, and the AI is thinking, and here we go. And now it's a Google form, and it's generating this for me. Simple present tense and adverbs of frequency quiz. Now I've got all of these questions, all right? Now, what you can do, and I suggest that you do, uh, Brisk has chosen the correct answer. It's always good to go back and check and make sure that the answer they've selected is in fact the correct answer. Now you can choose an add-on here. So, you know what? Say I want one more question and I want my students to do a question on something they usually do in their free time. So, write one more short response question for the quiz above. Um, Ask students what they do in their free time, or what they usually usually. So we're going to use adverbs of frequency. We want one question. It's a short response. And we want So sometimes it will create a separate quiz. Sometimes it will add it on. So I'm going to see what it does. I'm going to click brisket. And there you go. It added it on at the bottom. Okay. Think about something you do regularly in your free time. Write a sentence using the simple present tense and adverbs of frequency. So perfect. Okay. Now that would be something I would need to grade manually, right? But otherwise, this is going to be a self-grading quiz. So I really love that. Okay, now let's take a look at another aspect here. I've got guided notes. So I'm on the fence about guided notes. I think guided notes are a really cool tool if you use this perhaps as a listening activity. If you're doing, I know a lot of teachers have to do listening assessments, and I think they're really good for content, content-based instruction. I've taught economics classes where I think this is a really important tool, allowing students to follow on with what you're doing. But let's take a look at how we do this. This may not be something you want to do in your classroom, but it might be something that you find useful. So let's go back to that presentation. I'm going to go back to Brisk and I'm going to click Create. Okay, now underneath my popular tools, I'm going to go to Curriculum Essentials. So progress report, exemplar, depth of knowledge questions, they're really cool. I go down here, I find guided notes, I click that. Guided notes, English, sixth grade. The output's going to be in a Google Doc, and it says create guided notes about this presentation. Brisket, okay. And it's got notes that force students to follow along with you, right? And they're going to need to fill in the the missing information. So, for language teaching, I don't love this. Uh, but I think for content-based instruction, this is really, really important. Now, for me, I'm like, I look at this, I think, no way, this is too long. So I'm going to click make it shorter. And it's going to recreate a second version here that's going to be shorter. Okay. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I don't really love that and I don't think it's central to a communicative classroom. So now let's get more into student speaking. I want to talk about dialogues and gap fills. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I've got a brief dialogue that's still creating. So I'm going to go here. I've got a brief prompt that I want to add. So I'm going to say create. Now, I want a dialogue, and I don't have that option here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to create anything. Click that, and click next. So it's create anything in English. My output here is a Google Doc. It's at sixth grade, and I say, I want to create a dialogue with the same exact structure as this podcast transcript. I want slightly different vocabulary words. Instead of play football, use a different phrase like go swimming. Okay, so I just click brisket and it's going to create that dialogue for me. So now I've got a dialogue using slightly different language with Alex and Jordan. Now, I think dialogues are really cool for students who really need support. It's a way to get students speaking, but to me, it's more reading than it is speaking. I think it's great for developing super segmental pronunciation with students, getting them to focus on things like stress and intonation. But it's not really communicative, but it's a good support for lower level students. So I want to now remove some of those supports. So I'm going to say, um, go back here, and it says, is there anything you'd like to change? I'm going to say, remove, it doesn't have any bold words. I'm going to say, um, remove the activity words and replace them with blanks. So now students are going to have to fill in their own activities. Okay, instead of Alex and Jordan, Alex and Jordan, um, let's use student one for Alex and student two for Jordan. Okay, and in the dialogue, leave a blank where a proper name would go. Okay, now I'm going to click that. And now it's going to give me a gap fill. So now this is less supported. This is moving more towards free speaking. So now I've got students who can use this language. Okay, they've got some structure and they're really just doing substitution drills. And the cool thing is that if students want to break away from this and move towards more free speaking, that's great. I'm actually happy when my students do that. So I think it's more authentic. But you can see how quickly we generated all this material using Brisk. So now let's remove even more structure. So instead of simply having my students do a dialogue, I'm going to say, I want you to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, I want you to be able to see the prompt. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go to create anything. And it says, I want to create a series of 8 interview questions based on this grammar focus. Each interview question should have a sample answer for students who need help. Only one sentence, so I'm being really specific. I want to use the target vocab in the questions and the sample answers. Now I can paste that vocabulary in here if I want to. I'm going to do that just so the AI has everything I want it to have. I'm going to go back to my sample here and put that there. Okay, and students are free to use any language they want when they answer. I want the student asking questions to ask 2 follow-up questions when they're interviewing their partner. So now we're getting closer and closer to what a real conversation looks like. So I click Brisket. And now I've got a series of interview questions with a sample answer to help my students. I've even got suggested follow-up questions. I don't know if I love that. Me personally, I'd rather have those follow-up questions at the bottom. That way students have to actually think about what contextually goes with the answer that their partner has given. So I might say, remove the follow-up questions uh, from underneath the sample answer. I want all the follow-up questions together at the bottom of the page. Say after the last question. Uh, so students have to think about which question is appropriate. So that, let's see how it does here. Okay, so it removed all those follow-up questions. That's fantastic. And there it is. I've got all of them there at the bottom. So perfect. I really, really love that. Okay, so I think that's a much better free speaking activity. So, I mean, this is really, we're just scratching the surface of how we can apply this. Now, bear in mind that this is not only for Google Docs and cutting and pasting. We can use this on any web page out there. So, for example, let's go to this YouTube video.
This
Okay.
isn't just any chat, it's ClickUp chat. Sure, you can tag your team, ask questions, and even drop.
So here I've got a brief video on dinosaurs for kids, right? So what I'm going to do is I still have my Brisk icon down here in the bottom corner. Okay, we can see that right there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click that Brisk icon, and it's checking the video transcript right now. It does take a little while because we've got a longer video, so it's going to go ahead and check all of this, and then I'm going to be able to use the same tools that I used previously. I can ask it to generate a question. Okay, the YouTube video has this worked with this video, so okay, so I'm going to try, oh, here we go. So I click create, okay, and I can say, we haven't looked at depth of knowledge questions yet, DOK or depth of knowledge questions. I think this is very involved for students at this level, but let's take a look at what it would look like. So I'm going to click depth of knowledge questions, create DOK questions on this YouTube video. My output's in Google Forms, and I just click Brisket, and it's going in here, and it is going to ask a series of questions that get progressively harder. Based on the content of the video. And this is great for teachers who have to integrate critical thinking skills into their language classes. Okay, extended thinking, we're moving towards creation. Okay, so terrific. And get all of that. And I can say, you know what? Less detail. It's too much. And there we go. I've got less detailed. I think it's still too long. Make it shorter for my students. They're only in sixth grade. And that might be something that I think is more achievable for my students. I like that. Okay. And that was really 2 clicks to edit that. Amazing, right? Um, okay, so the last thing I want to look at is file uploads. So you can actually upload an image if you've got one of those, for example, if your textbook is run through an application where you've got to you can't upload the file. You can take a quick screenshot and upload it to Brisk, provided that you're allowed to do that, and you can extract comprehension questions based on that. So let's take a look at how we might do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Brisk here. Okay, and I'm gonna, if you look here, it looks like an email attachment, right? That little icon here, that paperclip icon that we see by our when we want to attach a file to an email. I just click that and it asks me, do I want to upload an image, a PDF, or a Word document? So I've got a PDF. All right, now I am going to go to um, okay, this is a text that I'm doing with my students. So I click this. Okay. So here's my file. And based on this, I want to, I think it's too difficult. I'm gonna click change the level. This takes a little while when we're, just got to preview the file. go back here. Instead of that, um, let me um, do a quiz based on this. Okay, create a quiz, 10 multiple choice. I'm gonna click Brisket, and hopefully this is a little bit quicker. And bioluminescence. Here we go. Okay, what's the main reason fireflies use their glowing light? So, this is a science text. This is really, really cool. Okay, and it's done for me. So now I want to come back to my file upload. Okay, I want to go to Brisk. I want to show us one more thing with file uploads because this is super cool. We can go to Boost. Okay, and I want to create an interactive activity from this file. So I click Create Interactive Activity. Okay, and my testing AI is the name of my class. Now, if I go here, I've got all these different things I can select from. I want to start with tutor, right? So if I need assistance with the prompt, AI, the activity ideas down here, this has actually got a sample prompt. So I just click that. I click add, and it says create a guided learning activity that helps students explore and understand a key concept. Now, I want to be more specific than a key concept. So I'm going to say understand main idea and key details, right? Scaffold the process by asking guiding questions, modeling strategies, prompting students to connect the concept to prior knowledge or real-world situations. Great. Continue. Now the AI is going to build out learning objectives, guardrails, and scaffolds. Okay. And I just click create. Now it's going to pull up my text and it's going to say, let's get started so I can preview how this works. So I'm going to click here. And then Brisk Boost says, I'm here to help you understand the bioluminescence text and learn about glowing animals. What questions do you have? Or would you like to start by sharing what you already know about animals that glow? Um, so I'm just going to say, I'm going to start by typing. My teacher says I need to find the main idea. Okay, so Brisk Boost says perfect. Okay, the main idea is the most important idea, the most important point the entire text is about. What do you think the text is mostly about? Is it about fireflies, ocean plankton, or something broader that includes all glowing animals? I'm going to say all glowing animals. Excellent. Now try putting that into one complete sentence. What would you say the main idea of this text is? I'm getting tired of typing, so I'm going to go to speech and I'm going to say, I think this is mostly about how animals that glow in the dark use bioluminescence to protect themselves. And then I send it. That's a strong start. I'd say you're close, but look back at the text. Do all glowing animals use their light mainly to protect themselves, or they use it for different reasons? I think different reasons. So if animals use light for different reasons, how would you rewrite your main idea sentence to include that? I think this text is mostly about how animals use bioluminescence to glow in the dark, and they use it for different reasons. Perfect. You nailed the main idea. That's exactly it. So now it's going to move me to a series of questions to help me uncover the supporting details. So this is a great tool, and it's a great way to help students make their thinking visible. Okay, you can view student progress. You can edit this. You can edit the objectives or the activity guidelines. And then you can share your activity with your students, right? So you just copy the link and then I'll go here and I'm going to put it up here. And there it is. So now if I was a student, this is what I would see. I've got the text and then I've got the tutor right there saying, let's go. So it's a really powerful tool. Now, that is not all of the different applications of Brisk to language teaching, but I think this is an incredibly strong start. And I'm going to come back with future videos. I'm going to share more AI tools, and we'll even go a little bit further with Brisk and how this can help us. But thank you so much for joining in. And please remember to subscribe to my channel so you get all my videos on AI and language teaching, on academic writing, and on language learning. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.